Well, hi everybody. So today I'll be going over the DC Designs Stearman. I'll show you how to take it off, how to land it, how to start it, all that good stuff. And then do a short review on it, and that'll pretty much be it for today. So let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, well, here we are in the Stearman. It looks okay. I'm not going to say that it looks great. I'm not going to say that it looks terrible either. Some of it looks better than other parts of it, but you know, I guess it kind of depends on what you're looking for. I like it, but that might just be me. So we'll go ahead and run through the instrument panel here real quick and get everything started. So to start off here, up at the top, we've got directional gyro, altimeter, airspeed indicator, turn slip coordinator, vertical speed indicator, RPM gauge, clock, oil temperature, and oil pressure gauge. We've got the magnetos here, the battery, avionics switch, nav light, strobe light, and smoke. Now, as smoke works, so you can turn it on and it'll pump out smoke out the back. There apparently was a problem with it with Sim Update 6. It seems to have been fixed. I have run into a couple of times where it seems like the smoke trail is actually coming off of the right wing instead of the coming out from instead of trailing the tail, basically. But other than that, it does seem like it works for the most part. We've got the primer, starter, parking brake, your radio, transponder. The little button over here on the far left of the transponder is the crew select. That's what they call it. So all this does is it swaps out the default DC Designs pilot for the default Microsoft Flight Simulator pilot. And then we've got the carburetor heat down here, or anti-ice, whatever you want to call it. And now you only have one of these in the rear seat. This isn't actually something you can use if you're sitting up front. So we've also got control lock here. Honestly, I've never used this. It's Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we've got mixture lever, throttle lever, and fuel valve. And then the pitch trim right here. And that's pretty much it for the Stearman here. It's a pretty simple aircraft. So we'll just go ahead and get it started. Alright, so to get started here, we're going to want to turn the fuel valve to on. I'm going to leave the mixture cut off. You don't have to. You can go ahead and put it up to full rich and the thing will start up anyway. I'm going to go ahead and crack the throttle just a little bit. We'll come back up here and then turn on the magnetos to both. Flip the battery on. Go over here to the primer and then we'll hit it like 3 or 4 times. You don't really need to prime it. It'll start up without priming it. So we'll go ahead and hit the starter button, bring the mixture up to rich, and it'll start up here in a second. You may have to kind of hold the starter down a little bit, but other than that, it starts up fine. Now, one thing I will say about this plane is when you leave it at 0 throttle, the RPM is going to sit down there at about 350, and it's going to sound like it's going to die. Like, it really will sound like it's going to die. It won't die or anything, but it really sounds like it's about to die. So we'll go ahead and turn the avionics master on here, nav lights, and then we'll head on out to the runway here and take it off. So we'll go ahead and here and take off. Now you can pretty much just full throttle this thing off the start. It's not going to get really squirrely on you. But we'll go ahead and release the parking brake and throttle up here. Want to push the stick forward a little bit to help get the tail wheel off the ground, which should happen around about 35 knots. And then you might have to dance on the rudders a little bit to keep it straight down the runway. But we'll just go ahead and pull back at about 60 knots, and it should lift off the ground at right about 70 knots. Now, as far as how it flies, it's a really easy plane to fly. It's pretty fun to actually fly. It really is just kind of a really good kind of go goof around plane. Now you'll be able to do most of the basic aerobatic maneuvers. You won't be able to do anything truly spectacular. It's not a very powerful plane, but it, it is pretty fun. So now the stall speed for it is going to be, at least according to the manual, 48 knots if you have a half fuel load on it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it's about 50, just to kind of be safe. Again, it's not particularly fast, so you'll probably be cruising somewhere between 80 and 90 knots most of the time. Now there isn't any damage on it, so you can full throttle it if you want, and you'll be able to get about 100, maybe a little bit more than 100 knots out of it. All right, so we'll go ahead and bring it in here for landing. Go ahead and back the throttle down a little bit. Right about now, I'm about 50% throttle. We're doing about 80, a little over 80 knots. I probably want to come in here about 75 knots. But again, it's a pretty easy plane to land, so you know I'm going to do a wheeled landing here and shouldn't have any bounces or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and back the throttle down to about 25%, which should decrease us to about 70 knots. And then once we get over the runway, we'll just go ahead and pretty much put it down to, I'm going to say 10%. 10% is probably good. And then go ahead and flare it a little bit. Should bleed off the last little bit of that speed, and we should touch down right about 60 knots. We'll go ahead and pull the stick back to ground the tail wheel, and we can get on the brakes. Now the only thing that is a little weird about this one is the smoke effect when the tires hit the pavement. For some reason the smoke cloud is just absolutely massive, and it seems to actually outpace the plane, so it seems like the smoke cloud goes in front of the plane. That's just kind of a weird thing I noticed. Now, I honestly don't think I should really see it. First of all, I don't think it should be that massive, and secondly, I don't think I should really see it from the cockpit here. But either way, that's just something weird I noticed. And so with that, we'll go ahead and hop into the review here, and that'll be it for today. So if you want to buy the DC Design Stearman, you can pick it up from Just Flight or the Microsoft Flight Simulator Marketplace. It's about $15. Now, DC Designs isn't, let's say, known for their high-quality visuals. What I will say is that I find DC Designs planes generally to be fun. I think they do a better job on their interiors than their exteriors, but they're not visually impressive, and the sound quality is usually okay. I did kind of want to cover the smoke effects before we go any further here. When you do land, there is just a massive cloud of smoke from the tires when they hit the pavement. Also, I couldn't get the aerobatic smoke glitch bug to happen during recording, so it may just be a glitch that's very rare. Either way, it is just $15, so the fact that it's not that great is at least mitigated a little bit by its price. I will say I do have a pretty good amount of fun flying it. It's a really good, just sort of fly around, goof off kind of plane. Its sound quality, in my opinion, is good. Now, that being said, the only time I've really ever heard a Stearman is on video, so I don't really have a good frame of reference of how it really sounds. The worst part of it, though, is the way that it looks. And to be fair, most of this plane in real life is canvas, so the main problem is that it looks very metallic. And canvas tends to look glossy, but it doesn't really look metallic, and that's really where I think the main problem of this plane's looks comes from. The model quality isn't all that great. There are a few places where it has like really sharp angles that should be more rounded and curved, stuff like that. But that being said, it doesn't look that bad at a distance. It's when you get really close to it that you kind of notice some of the problems. I will say I think that the interior looks a little bit better than the exterior, but it's still, overall, it just doesn't really look all that great. So overall, it's a fun plane to fly, but again, if what you're looking for is a visually high-fidelity representation of a Stearman, this is probably not it. But if what you're looking for is just kind of something to go have some fun in, you don't care about how much it looks, you know, or how good it looks or anything like that, this might not be that bad of a pick for you. Hopefully I've given you at least enough visual representations of it to kind of make that decision on your own. So that's pretty much going to be it for today. So thanks for watching, y'all, and I hope there's next time.